Okay, let's continue with our discussion for Article 14, no? So sa abuse of confidence and obvious ungratefulness, no? So may tatlong, for abuse of confidence, may tatlo tayong elements, no, or requisites, no? Tandaan nyo lang yung kinapit, yung binold ko na mga words, no? Hayaan nyo na ibuo na yan. Trust, abuse, facilitated. Okay? Trust, abuse, facilitated. No? Meron po, no? Abuse of confidence is inherent in some felonies. Napakadalas pong ginagamit ang abuse of confidence sa qualified theft po. No? Malalaman nyo to sa criminal law 2. Example, no? Nagnakaw yung kasambahay sa amo niya, no? Ninakawan ng relo, ninakawan ng alahas, and so on. Ma-appreciate po ba, no, yung ordinary aggravating circumstance under Article 14? The answer is no. Kasi abuse of confidence is an integral element of qualified theft. Element po yan. So, hindi siya ordinary aggravating, no? Hindi siya mag-apply under Article 14. Ang mangyayari po dyan, pag ganung mga madalas nangyayari yan, di ba? So, pwedeng itanong sa inyo, kasi applicable siya in real life. Tandaan nyo, qualified theft ang crime. Okay? Sige. Question tayo, no? Mr. A was killed by his mate. Is there abuse of confidence? No, because the facts do not show that the maid abused the trust reposed by Mr. A and that this abuse facilitated the commission of homicide. So, ang pinaka-important po rito yung number 2 sa kay number 3 kasi malamang yung tanong, yung fact sa inyo, malamang yung question sa inyo, may trust talaga. Malamang yan. Driver, employer, mga ganyan. Malamang sa malamang, no? Ang problema nasa second po saka sa third lagi. Okay? Hindi kita tatanungin sa trust kasi napakasimple naman ng sagot masyado. Di ba? Okay. Mr. A was killed by his maid. In order to do so, the maid waited for Mr. A to sleep in his room. Then the maid suddenly stabbed him while he was lying on his bed. Is there abuse of confidence? Yes, kasi pasok na po lahat. May trust, inabuso yung trust kasi syempre, kampante yung ama, matutulog kahit na ano no, kahit na nakatira sa same house yung kasambahay. And distrust, no? Dahil pinagkatiwalaan ng amo yung kasambahay na hindi siya papatayin, di ba? Ito po ang nag-facilitate sa commission of the homicide. Actually, ano rin to no? Treachery din to, matatakil natin later on. Okay? So, tingnan niyo po no pagkakaiba, no? Tandaan niyo pag nakaw, ibang usapan 'yan. Kasi baka sa qualified theft po pumasok, no? Okay. Next tayo, obvious ungratefulness. So, paano po natin pag-iibahin yung abuse of confidence saka obvious ungratefulness? Kasi po sa obvious ungratefulness, hindi kailangang may confidence. Di ba? Binigyan lang ng charity yung offender. No? Binigyan ng ng regalo, basta binigyan ng kabaitan, no? Pinakitaan ng kabaitan nung offended party. Tapos itong kabaitan na ito, inabuso ng offender. So abuse of confidence po, may confidence dapat na ipapakita sa facts. No? Mayroong pagtitiwala na tinatawag. Ayan, no? Para simple po tayo, abuse of confidence, pagtitiwala ito. No? Tiwala ka dun sa tao. Ito sa isa, kabaitan. Inabuso ang kabaitan. Diba? Ang charity. No? So it must be obvious kasi nga, nakasulat naman na obvious, di ba? Obvious dapat yung ungratefulness. Manifest and clear. So, ang example po itong sa Floresca case, no? It is present in the case of the accused who killed his father-in-law in whose house he lived in and who partially supported him. In these facts po, hindi mo naman sasabihin na pinagkakatiwalaan ng father-in-law yung di ba? Yung accused. Di ba? Pero makikita niyo po sa facts, binigyan ng kabaitan, di ba? Pinakitaan ng kabaitan ng father-in-law yung kanyang son-in-law, no? At despite that, no, pinatay ng son-in-law yung father-in-law. That's obvious ungratefulness. Okay? So can the same be said if the child killed the father in whose house the former lived in? Yes. No? There would be two aggravating relationships, no? Matatakil natin later on. Obvious ungratefulness at saka yung relationship under Article 15. Mamaya yan. Article 15 talks about alternative circumstances. Okay? And so on na, no? So, take note of this, no? Patandaan niyo po yun na kabaitan versus pagtitiwala. Okay? Next tayo, no? Crime was committed in the palace of the chief executive or in his presence or where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties or in a place dedicated to religious worship. Okay, so ito pong ano na to, no, aggravating circumstance na to, no. I-relate natin siya doon sa mga natakil natin previously, no? So kung tatandaan niyo po, natandaan po natin yung unang aggravating, di ba? Yung offender po talaga doon, yung public authority, yung public officer kasi nag-abuse, di ba? Advantage be taken of yung public yung position, di ba? Next is to in contempt of or with insult to public authority. So ibig sabihin, hindi po yung public authority yung offended party, pero yung crime po kinomit within the presence or in the presence of the public authority. Titingnan po natin sa pang-apat to, the crime was committed outside this office. Bakit po sinulat yan dyan? Kaya po sinulat yan dyan kasi kung kinomit siya inside his office, hindi po yung number 2 ang aggravating circumstance. Hindi po itong in contempt of or with insult to public authorities. Ang magiging crime po dito tayo sa, kababanggit ko lang, no? Dito sa, ayan, no? Where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties. So tandaan po natin, pag nasa labas, sabihin natin yung barangay captain nasa labas ng barangay, nagpapatrol, sabihin natin sa ano niya, no, sa barangay niya. Tapos in his presence, yung magkaibigan nagsuntukan, sabihin natin, o yung isang kaibigan sinuntok niya yung isa niyang kaibigan, may aggravating circumstance ba? Yes. Insult, doon sa insult tayo or disregard sa presence ng public authorities. Okay? Hindi ba dito sa aggravating circumstance na to? Hindi po. Kasi nagpapatrol nga, hindi naman sa loob ng barangay hall eh. O, paano naman? Next example, sa barangay hall nagsuntukan, dito na po tayo papasok. Where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties. No? Assuming na, syempre, may office hours ng mga panahon na yun. Iba pag oras ng gabi yan, wala. Hindi po dito papasok yan. Kasi dapat engaged eh. No? Engaged. Hindi pwedeng closing hours, no? Hindi pwede. Dapat operating hours yung time kung kailan na commit yung crime sa loob ng barangay hall. Anyway, let's tackle this further, no? For the three places in paragraph 5, no? The offender must have intention to commit the crime when he entered the place. Okay? Tatlo po ang about sa place dito, isa po about sa person. About po sa person yung in his presence. No? Presence the president. Pero sobrang extreme naman ng circumstance na to, no? Anyway, pastatanda po natin sa in the palace of the chief executive, no? So, sa Malacanang yan, where public authorities are engaged at saka sa place dedicated to religious worship. When the offender entered, no, the place, he must have the intention to commit a crime. Okay? In the case of People versus Jauregue, this is a landmark case, no? Criminal law. Ito yung ano, no, parang nasa simbahan sila, pinatay ng babae yung lalaki. Kaya naman niya napatay kasi yung lalaki sinesexually harass na siya for numerous days na previous to that incident sa simbahan, no? So, syempre, may criminal liability yung girl, no? Pinatay niya yung guy, eh. Pero ang tanong, mayroon ba aggravating circumstance under this paragraph? Wala po. Kasi nung pumasok yung babae doon sa simbahan, hindi naman siya may intention to kill yung lalaki. Pumasok sa doon para magmisa, para magsimba, para magdasal. Hinakas na naman siya, pinatay niya ngayon. So, hindi po siya magiging aggravating circumstance under this paragraph. Okay? Ano yan there is no evidence to show that she had murder in her heart. O, di ba? When she entered the chapel on that fatal night. Okay, so sa chief executive naman po, no? The chief executive did not be in the Malacanang Palace. His presence alone in any place where the crime is committed is enough, okay, to constitute an aggravating circumstance. He is also present even if he is not engaged in the discharge of his duties. Okay? So ano po pagkakaiba ng pag-presidente ng Pilipinas kumpara dun sa second paragraph natin kanina? Balikan natin, no, para ma-recall lang din, no. Dito po nakasulat, the public authority is engaged in the exercise of his functions. Ito po yung second paragraph, in contempt of or with insult to public authorities. Pag po presidente, hindi kailangan na engage in the exercise of his public functions yung presidente para magkaroon po ng aggravating circumstance under this paragraph, no? Okay. Move tayo. Okay, in the Malacanang Palace, no? Okay. Sa Malacanang Palace po, regardless po yan if the public officers are currently working or not. So kung papansinin po natin dito, no, engaged dapat nakalagay where public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties. Dito po sa in the Palace of the Chief Executive, wala naman sinabing dapat operating hours no sa palasyo, di ba? Wala sinabi. Sabi lang sa palasyo. Okay? So ganyan po, no? Sa mga first year students natin dyan, ganyan po dapat ang paghimay ng mga provisions. So talagang in-depth po siya, no? Hindi lang siya yung casual reading na parang magazine. Hindi po na talagang dapat dinidrill down po yung mga provisions. Talaga ine-exhaust nyo yung mga thoughts na pwede nyong ma-entertain, thoughts na maiisip nyo just by looking at the provisions themselves. No? Hindi dapat casual reading lang. No? Kaya ayoko nga nung salitang you just have to familiarize yourself with the caudal. Ayoko nun. No? Kasi just by looking at the caudal, pag talagang dinaisect mo ng mabuti, ang dami nang pwedeng lumabas. And then you're gonna say na magka-familiarize ka lang. Di ba? Parang kulang for me, no? Yung pag-aaral pag ganun. If you just familiarize, paano pag unfamiliar na mga topics yung no? Itatanong sa atin. Di ba? Mahirapan tayo dyan. So, ganun po dapat, no? Talagang exhaustive ang pagdadissect, ang pagbe-breakdown, ang pagbabasa ng caudal provision. Especially sa criminal law, hindi naman ganun kahaba yung articles. Articles 1 to 20, after nun, napakabilis na. Hindi siya katulad ng civil code na napakadaming articles. Okay? Sige. Move tayo. Mag-tangent lang ako ng konti. Gusto ko ipasok yun, no? Okay, so as regards the place where the public authorities are engaged in the discharge of their duties, no? There must be some form of public function. So dapat nga operating hours, hindi pwedeng after office hours. Ilang beses ko nang binanggit. Lastly, sa place dedicated to religious worship, wala din namang sinabing dapat may misa. Dapat lang may place dedicated to religious worship. So parang ano lang din siya, no? Para siyang palace of the chief executive. Hindi kailangan na mayroong religious function na nangyayari. So, basta chapel yan, basta simbahan, pag nag-commit ng crime sa loob, with the intention to commit the crime at the time of the entry in the place, ayan, aggravating circumstance yan. Pero tandaan natin, ang sementeryo, hindi po yan place dedicated to religious worship. Diba? Hindi po siya for worship, diba? Para yan sa pag-alala sa ating mga mahal sa buhay, diba? Okay. Ang lolo't lola natin. Okay. Next tayong paragraph, no? Nighttime, uninhabited place banned when it facilitated the commission of the crime. So, meron pong may dalawang phrases talaga dyan na gusto kong i-highlight. Ito pong when it facilitated the commission of the crime at saka yung meaning ng banned. Yun po ang pinakamahalaga sa next aggravating circumstance na to. Ulitin ko, no? Yung salitang facilitated and the meaning of banned, dyan talaga nagkakaroon ng tanong, no? Okay, so there are three aggravating circumstances in this paragraph, no? They are separate and distinct from each other. Compare natin dun sa rank, age, sex, at saka sa dwelling. Dun isa lang ang aggravating circumstance. Kahit na yung apat na scenario na yun, nasa same factual circumstance. Treated as one lang po, no? General, na babae, no? Na matanda. Tapos sa bahay niya, kinumit yung crime. Isa lang po ang ma-appreciate na aggravating circumstance dyan. Pero sa nighttime, uninhabited place at saka sa van, tigi-tigisa po kung present lahat dyan. Gabi na, sa liblib na lugar pa, tapos 10 pa silang nag-commit ng crime. Armed. Accepted lahat yan. Appreciated lahat yan. Okay? So, tandaan natin muna to, no? Whenever such circumstances may facilitate the commission of the felony. Sa kaso po ng People versus Anin, no? Ito po yung ibig sabihin ng phrase na yan. The offenders must facilitate the commission of the crime. The offenders mas especially sought for the circumstances pala, di pala. The circumstances must facilitate the commission of the crime. The circumstances must be especially sought for by the offender. So sa Tagalog talagang hinanap, no? Facilitate, ito ang naging paraan, di ba? Upang makomit ang crime. The offender took advantage of the same for purposes of immunity and escape. So, tinake advantage o talagang, yun nga, tinake advantage ng mga offenders yung gabi, sabihin natin, yung nighttime upang makatakas para hindi sila mahuli. Di ba? Mga hold-upan senaryo, no? So, focus lang tayo, no? Para hindi natin kailangan sabihin lahat to sa exam nyo o sa bar. Focus lang kayo sa one word, guys. No? Friends, facilitate. Focus lang kayo dyan. Alam nyo kung bakit? Kasi yan yung ginamit sa sa provision mismo eh. Diba? Itong especially sought for at saka itong took advantage, dinagdag na lang po ng kaso. So kung medyo, syempre, hindi naman natin maaalala na lahat ng binasa natin kasi marami tayong binabasa, iyan po alalahanin nyo lagi. No? Facilitate. Tamang-tama, nasa code na lagi yan. Nasa code naman yan, no? So, lagi nyo makikita. Tandaan nyo po yung facilitate na yan. Hindi porket gabi, automatic may nighttime na aggravating. Ika-qualify mo muna if it facilitated or not. Same thing sa uninhabited, same thing sa band. Tingnan natin sa mga examples ko, no? So, medyo marami-rami akong ginawa. 6. Panimula pa lang yun, wala pa yung iba. Di ba? Sabi ko naman sa inyo, mahilig talaga ako sa examples kasi doon natin nakikita kung naiintindihan ba natin yung provision o hindi. Hindi naman sa pagbabasa ng doctrine, pagbabasa ng abstract principles, pagbabasa ng yung mga ganito. Hindi naman dyan eh. No? Ano pa lang yan? Surface lang yan. Na alam nyo. Alam nyo elements, surface pa lang na knowledge yan. If you can illustrate it, aba, doon tayo nagkakaroon ng comprehension talaga. Nakakuha nyo kasi yung context. Paano bang approach, paano ba ang tira, paano ba ang hugot, no, nung provision na to. Okay, so let's go to the examples. No? A stabbing during the night in a well-lit mall. No? So, well-lit mall, di ba, is not covered by nighttime. Why? Facilitate ulit, di ba? It did not. Kasi well-lit yung mall eh. There is no band in a gang war because both gangs are equally armed. Why? Oh, di sa unang frat, 10 silang may kutsilyo, may baseball bat, and so on. Yung pangalawang gang, 8 silang gang members, tapos may arms din sila lahat. There can be no band. Di ba? Kasi the band did not facilitate the commission of the crime. Anyway, mamaya itatakil natin what's the meaning of band. No? So, basta band, tandaan nyo, armed. That's the correct adjective. No? Next, Mr. A killed Mr. B at 10 p.m. Is there an aggravating circumstance of nighttime? Hindi pa din. Facilitated na naman. Mr. A killed Mr. B at 10 p.m. Mr. A wanted to kill him at night so that there will be few witnesses. Is there an aggravating circumstance? Yes. Especially sought for. Pwede mo rin sabing facilitated. Ikaw na bahala kung ano gusto mo. No? Okay tayo dyan ha. So, I think we're able to understand naman na to. No? Mr. A killed Mr. B at 10 p.m. Mr. A wanted to execute the crime at night so it would be easier to escape and hide behind the bushes. Yes, because he took advantage of nighttime to escape from the crime scene. O, di ba? Okay. So, we get the point, no? We get the point. Let's move to the next. Ito, nighttime, no? Nights are from sunset to sunrise, no? So, it's vague, no? Huwag na nating i-focus yan. Basta, pag yung mga question, alas 7 ng gabi, alas 8, alas 9, sinabi sa fax. Aba, pwede, no? Baka dito po, dito yung issue, no? Sa nighttime, kung may nighttime ba o wala. Okay? So, nighttime is not aggravating when the crime began at daytime. Bakit? Hindi kasi hindi ba? Hindi niya especially sought for yan kasi sinimulan niya nung umaga. It just so happens na napatay nung gabi. Di ba? Paano nga? Ayan, ang nilay ko na rito, People versus Lochico, no? 5 p.m., 7 p.m. 5 p.m., mataas, may araw pa yan, maganda pa yung araw niyan. Alas 7, wala nang araw. So are we saying that may nighttime na agad? Di ba? Hindi agad. Tingnan muna natin yung facts, di ba? Eh, paano pag sabihin natin, no, dagdagan natin ng konti? Paano pag nagsimula nga ng daytime, natapos mga alas 8, tapos tinake advantage siya yung gabi para makatakas, no? Nagtago siya sa bukid, no? Nagtago sa mataas na damo. Oh, kahit naman nagsimula ng daytime, pwede nating sabihin na na-appreciate na yung nighttime, di ba? Dahil he took advantage of the same for impunity, for escape. So tingnan nyo pa rin yung facts, di ba? Pero pag sinabi lang sa facts na alas 5 nagsimula o alas 4 nagsimula, natapos alas 8, alas 7 ng gabi, wala. Unang-una, walang intention. Pangalawa, walang facilitate, especially suit, at saka took advantage to escape. Okay? Eh naman tayo sa well-lit place, nabanggit na natin kanina, no? The lighting of matchstick or use of flashlights does not negate the aggravating circumstance of nighttime. Why? Di ba? Mga ganyan yung mga nasa cases, no? Kasi syempre nung araw, di naman lahat ng lugar may ilaw, di ba? Matchsticks and flashlights do not make the surroundings well lit. Hindi, di ba? Lit lang, hindi siya well lit. Pag kasi well lit, hindi na talaga nighttime kasi parang umaga na dyan sa loob. O, eh, pag phosphorus, lampara, mga ganyan, saka flashlight, lit lang, di ba? Maaaninag mo lang, pero hindi well lit. Okay? Uninhabited place naman tayo. What's the meaning of this? Tatlo, tatandaan nyo. Case din to. One, where there are no houses at all. A place at a considerable distance from town. Or where the houses are scattered at a great distance from each other. So, tatandaan nyo na lang, dalawang house, isang town. O, ayan. So, ganito, no? Sabihin natin, nag-iisang bahay, 20 tao nakatira sa bukid. O, sa bukid, may isang bahay, 20 tao nakatira. Tapos yung next na bahay, mga 10 hectares away na. No? So medyo malaki yung ano nila, no? Medyo malaki yung bukirin, no? Isang bahay, 20 ang taong nakatira, 10 hectares yung next bahay. Sa next bahay na yun, 30 ang nakatira. So 50, di ba? Yung 20 hectares na parang palibot, 50 nakatira pero dalawa lang ang bahay. Tanong, uninhabited place ba yun? Yes. No? Kahit na 100 tao pa yung nakatira per house. Okay? Anyway, that's absurd. Hindi naman, no? Mga 20, 30, ganyan kawalaki pamilya. Why? Kasi di mo natin pinag-uusapan yung residents eh. That's not the topic. The topic is gaano kadaming bahay. Tatandaan yun, pampagulo. No? Wala tayong pakialam gaano kadami ang nakatira. Ang pakialam natin, gaano ba kadaming bahay ang nakatayo. Okay? So sa bahay, dalawa. No houses at all or considerable distance from each other. Sabi ko nga dito, may dalawang bahay pero 10 hektarya ang pagkakalayo. O di great distance yan, considerable distance from each other. Diba? O isa naman, wala naman akong binanggit about sa town-town, diba? O pag may sinabi naman sa inyo na malayo yung bukid, malamang bukid naman lagi ito eh. O malayo yung bukid dun sa bayan, o dito ka naman papasok sa isa na to. Pero normally, pag nagtanong sa inyo, sa house nagkakatalo yan. No houses at all, so ibig sabihin talagang bukid lang. Tapos doon nagkaroon ng patayan, doon nagkaroon ng krimen, doon nagkaroon ng rape incident. Okay, uninhabited place. O pag sa loob naman ng bahay, nagkaroon ng crime. Sa loob ng bahay na may 20 tao, sabi natin, sa loob ng bahay, pinatay. 20 yung tao doon, may isang pinatay. Yung next na bahay, 10 hectares ang layo. Pasok pa din po uninhabited house. Uninhabited house. Uninhabited place. Okay? Again, no, the uninhabited place no, must facilitate the commission of the crime or must be especially sought for and so on. Paano pag halimbawa, magtropa sila, nakasakay sa tricycle, nagkapikunan. O nung nasa daan sila, nadaan sila dun sa bukid na ganun at saka sila nagpatayan dun sa gilid. Are we saying na mayroong uninhabited place? No. Di ba? Kasi the facts did not show na nag-facilitate, nag-especially sought for, saka nag-take advantage to escape. Wala naman sinabi, di ba? So, hindi porket doon nagkaroon ng krimen, automatic may uninhabited place na ulit. So, we circle back, no? Okay. I think we get the point na, ito na yung kaso. Itong people versus Ong, madalas tong inaano. Madalas tong nadi-discuss po sa criminal law, no? Kasi sa Ong na yan, natakil yung, if I remember correctly, nagkaroon ng nighttime dyan, saka nagkaroon ng uninhabited place. Kasi doon Dinakip yan sila Ong eh. If may memory serves me right, dinakip sila. Tapos doon sa parang uninhabited place nga sila pinatay. Hindi pala si Ong. Yung pinatay ni Ong. Okay, nalito na. Yung pinatay ni Ong, no? Dinakip sila someplace else. Tapos dinala doon sa ano no, doon sa walang tao, doon na talaga nagkaroon ng crime talaga na pinatay. Okay, so mayroong uninhabited place doon. Okay? Sa band naman tayo. Band naman tayo, no? So sa band, no? At tandaan nyo, parang banda lang ng ano yan, music band, no? So sa banda ng ano, sa musika, no, merong lead singer, merong lead guitar, may bass guitar, at saka may drums. Lahat po sa apat na yun, may hawak-hawak sila, no? O de yung lead singer, hawak yung mic. Yung bass guitar, hawak yung guitar. Yung lead guitar, hawak yung guitar. O tapos yung drummer, may hawak na drumsticks at saka, syempre, pedal-pedal niya yung ano, no, yung drum set, di ba? Okay, so sa lahat sila may hawak. Ganon din po dito sa band under Article 14. Dapat there must be more than three o so four, di ba? Ano ba more than three? Di four. There must be four armed malefactors. Di ba? And they acted together for in the commission of the felony. Okay? So basically, may conspiracy. So tatlo, no? Tatlo ang kailangan nyo tandaan. Apat na tao, armed sila lahat, conspiracy. Acting together. Okay? Stones, no? Stone is included in arms. So may hawak na bato, armed din yan. Walang makakapatay ang bato eh. Simento, makakapatay din, di ba? Ay, simento tuloy. Hindi pala, hollow blocks. Hollow blocks, no? Okay. Nalay ko na dito. Let's compare this to a musical band. No, di ba? Okay. Mas madaling tandaan, di ba? So all the armed men must take part in the crime, no? There is no bad if one of them is merely a principal by inducement. Why? Because the principal by inducement did not act together with the other offenders. Hindi, utos lang yan eh. And isa pa, pag principal by inducement ka, hindi ka naman yung armed. Di ba? Nag-utos ka eh. Ang armed yan, tatlo lang. Ikaw yung coach, basically. So wala talagang band, no? Okay, so other notes for band, no? So uulitin ko ulit. Kailangan facilitate ulit. Pag gang war, walang ban dyan. Okay? Kasi walang facilitate, walang hindi na facilitate, no? Abuse of superior strength, aid of armed men, and use of firearms are absorbed by a band. Okay, medyo complicated na to for crime to na lang, no? Let's move na to the next topic. Aid of armed men or persons who ensure or afford impunity. Okay. Ito pala, no, I would like to relate this yung hayaan na natin to persons who ensure or afford impunity. Itong aid of armed men, I would like to relate this to abuse of superior strength muna. Okay, so itakil natin siya ng ano, no, sa bayan, no. Simulan natin sa aid of armed men. So medyo tatalon tayo, no. Aid of armed men, the armed men were accomplices. Tandaan natin ha. Accomplices, hindi po sila direct participant. Hindi po sila principal. Pag sinabi mong accomplices, cooperation ka lang. 'Di ba? Hindi ikaw mismo yung papatay basically, no? Okay, why do we say that? Malalaman niyo later on, no? Pag sinabi mong accomplice, cooperation, edi aid. Aid lang, tulong, no? Okay. So, and accomplices, no? So, armed din pala, by the way, it contemplates at least two persons. Kasi men eh. So, dalawa dapat. Plural. Diba? Sabi ko sa iyo, ganun dapat ang. Sabi ko sa inyo, ganun dapat ang pag dissect ng provision, no? Men at saka man, nagkaroon na ng bagong discussion, di ba? Okay. And armed din dapat. Okay? If the armed men were co-principals, co-conspirators to the crime, it is not with aid. You are not aiding anything. You are already participating in the crime. Hence, it will either be covered by abuse of superior strength or banned. Yan ang point ko. Okay? After nito, tackle natin yung aid of armed men, ha? Yung aid of armed men, accomplice dapat, tulong lang. So, bibigyan natin ng factual circumstance. No? Sabihin natin, gugulpihin ni A si B, si C at saka si D, mayroong daladalang baril, naka-ano lang, naka-spectator lang. O, wag kang aalis dyan, D, wag kang tatakas, ha? Kung hindi, babariling ka namin. Mga ganun. magulpihan kayo ni A. O tapos si A ginulpi naman si B, no? Bugbog sakado. Yun yung aid of armed men. O pero pag si C at saka si D, nakipukpok din doon, di naman binaril, no? Nakisapak din, nakisuntok din. Aba, yun yung tinatawag na abuse of superior strength. 'Di ba? Nakita nyo? Ganun lang po yan. No? So, mahaba yung Article 14, pero pag cluster nyo together, hindi siya ganun kahirap. Kasi may mga related provisions talaga. No? Para wag kayo masyadong malunod kasi 20 plus, no? 20 plus yung aggravating. Pero pag pinag-join nyo, like halimbawa, yung dun sa place kanina, di ba? Ang dami ng relation. Di ba? Where the public authorities are engaged in their duties, ang dami ng connect-connect. No? Okay. So, move tayo to abuse of superior strength muna. Talad muna tayo. Nababalikan natin tong ibang mga aggravating circumstance. By the way, yung recidivism at saka yung reiteration, itatakil natin siya along with habitual delinquency sa quasi-recidivism. So, next na lang natin muna. No? Wag muna ngayong Article 14 na itatakil to. Okay? Sige, doon tayo sa abuse of superior strength. No? Wait, saan napunta? Yun, no? Advantage be taken of superior strength or means be employed to weaken the defense. So, sa abuse of superior strength muna tayo. How can there be abuse of superior strength, no? It means, no, to take advantage of superior strength means to purposely use excessive force out of proportion to the means of defense available to the person attacked, no? Mere superior strength is not enough. The offender must take advantage of it. A 6'10" male, no? 6'10" yung height niya, killed a 5 foot female. O kahit male din, no? Na 5 feet lang, no? Was there abuse of superior strength? No. Because the facts do not show that the offender took advantage of his strength in killing the woman. Anong example niyan? Eh baka 6'10" male, nilason lang naman yung 5 foot na female eh. Di ba? So yes, may superior strength talaga yung ganong kalaking lalaki kumpara sa ganong kaliit na babae. Pero paano bang pinatay? Hindi naman sinabi. Di ba? Hindi naman sinabi. Binaril nung 6'10" male yung 5-footer na babae. 5 foot tuloy. 5 feet. 5 footer. 5 feet. No, sorry. Wala, no? Wala namang ano eh. Wala namang abuse of superior strength. O, ito na. Next example. A 6'10" male, no? Killed a 5 feet female by strangling her. Was there superior strength? Yes, pwede mo na sabihin. Sinakal eh. Di ba? Malamang, baka nga ilang segundo lang yan, nakapatay na nung 6'10" male yan, di ba? Pag, kasi liig nun, grabe, isang kamay lang siguro, kuhang-kuha na. No? Okay. Bond is absorbed by superior strength. Okay. Means to weaken the defense, no? The following are illustrations. Throwing a cloak over the head of the victim before he was killed. So, yun yung mga pag nag-aaway, no? Tapos biglang gagawa ng scheme yung offender para mapatay yung kabila. No? Another is casting sand or dirt upon the eyes. Pwedeng salt din, no? Sand, dirt, salt upon the eyes of the victim before he was killed. So, pinuwing muna, no? Pinuwing, binulag, saka pinatay. And intoxicating the victim before he was killed. Nilasing muna at saka pinatay. Okay. However, if the intoxication is such that the victim cannot put up any sort of defense, talagang blackout, no? Nung nilasing, hindi lang tipsy, hindi lang lupaypay, talagang bagsak na, no? Treachery yan. Okay? These are applicable only to crimes against persons and sometimes against crimes against persons and person and property such as robbery with homicide. No? Even though it's a crime against property, there's still a hint of person. Okay. Superior strength and means to weaken the defense are absorbed in treachery, which leads us to the next one. Okay, so ngayon no, na-breakdown na natin yung aid of armed men sa abuse of superior strength. Ang aid of armed men, accomplice lang yung armed men. Sa superior strength, co-principal sila, co-conspirator, no? And tandaan natin directly tuloy, purposely out of proportion, okay? Out of di na hinahanap excessive force, hindi naman yun na hinahanap. Ang hinahanap talaga diyan out of proportion. Force out of proportion, okay? Sige, punta tayo sa treachery, no? Kung magtatanong pala sa Article 14, dito iikot 'yan. No, dito iikot yan. Ang mga gustong tinatanong dyan sa Article 48, which itong treachery, evident premeditation, at saka later on matatakil natin yung recidivism, saka reiteration. Yun ang mga usual na tinatanong dito. At saka baka mayroong surprise na tanong no about sa COVID-19 pandemic. Later on, babalikan natin yung about sa mga calamity, epidemic, and so on. Okay, so sa treachery, no? Requisites. The employment of means of execution that gives, meron palang meaning ng treachery under Article 14. Isang paragraph yan. But I suggest gamitin na lang natin yung requisites o elements under the case of People versus Orozco kasi mas digestible para sa atin. Hindi siya mahirap alalahanin. No? So tatandaan nyo lang dalawang phrases. No opportunity to defend himself, yung offended party, and the means paano kinamit yung crime was deliberately and consciously adopted by the offender. Okay. So, no opportunity to defend himself, yung offended party, at saka deliberately and consciously adopted. Attorney, paano natin pong pag-iibahin yung aid of armed men, yung abuse of superior strength, at saka yung treachery. Yung aid of armed men, tatandaan natin, accomplice lang yung armed men. Hindi sila talaga tumulong. Ay, hindi, tumulong sila, hindi sila talaga nanapak. Hindi sila direct participant. Pag sinabi mong abuse of superior strength, they participated. Okay? They participated. Tapos, no, the force, no, employed was out of proportion. Paano naman natin pag-iibahin yung superior strength at saka yung treachery? Tandaan po natin sa abuse of superior strength, may superior strength, inabuso ito, pero yung offended party, mayroong opportunity to defend himself. Kaya niyang depensahan ng sarili niya. Like itong 6'10" male killed a 5 feet female, 5 footer na babae. Aba, kahit na sobrang out of proportion yung force, di ba? Itong babae na to, baka naman may chance may opportunity pa rin to defend herself. However weak she may be compared to the male na napakaltangkad, pakalaki. Pero may opportunity to defend herself, no? Ito pong sa treachery, no opportunity at all. No? Kahit na mahinang defense wala talaga. No? So, pagtandaan po natin yung pagkakaiba, no? Aid of armament, tumulong lang yung mga iba. Basically, ang nagko-connect po sa dalawa, ano, ang chain talaga, yung abuse of superior strength. Superior strength as related to aid of armament, superior strength as related to treachery. No? Okay, so lastly, itong pinaka-important din, isang important din, deliberately and consciously adopted. Tandaan natin, gusto ko nga, no, wala naman to sa People versus Orozco, no? Pero gusto ko sanang lagyan ng third requisite. Gusto ko sanang lagyan. Ang treachery po, under Article 40, nakasulat din naman dyan, crimes against persons lang po, applicable ang treachery. So sa robbery with homicide, wala pong treachery. Why? Kasi crimes against property yan. Kidnapping with homicide, hindi rin po wala rin treachery dyan. Why? Kasi crimes against personal liberty. No? Normally po ito sa mga murder, homicide, parricide, mga ganyan. Serious physical injuries, treachery, mga attempted homicide, mga ganyan po, no? So kung ako, kung nasa, hindi ko nilalagay, no, na requisite siya. Pero sa isip ko, ito na yung pangatlong iniisip ko lagi. If we talk about treachery. Pangatlo lagi sa isip ko yan. No opportunity, consciously, deliberately adopted crimes against persons. Okay? It applies to rape kasi rape is a crime against person. Okay, so at the time of the attack, no, the victim was not in a position to defend himself. Tandaan natin, it does not matter. Nilagay ko lang yan. It does not matter, guys, if the victim was in front of the offender or not. Wala po tayong pakialam doon, no? Kung saan binaril, saan sinaksak, sa likod ba o sa harap. It doesn't matter. Ang tinatandaan po, babalik lang tayo ulit dito. Kung harapan bang nagkaroon, may opportunity ba to defend himself o ginulat mo? Nagiinuman lang kayo, bigla mo sinaksak. Hindi ba treachery yun? Kahit harapan, no? Kaharapan mo yung kainuman mo, bigla mo sinaksak na gano'n. That's treachery. Di ba? Of course, tingnan nyo pa rin yung facts kasi baka naman bago magkaroon ng saksakan, mainit na. Nagkakasagutan na and so on. Hindi pwedeng sabing treachery yun. Di ba? Kasi syempre, pag nagkakasagutan, nagkakaaway na, dapat, di ba, defensive na yung, di ba, mga parties do sa incident. No? Okay, no? Treachery may exist even if the act is, even if the attack is face to face, no? Tandaan natin. And attack from behind is not always treachery. Bakit? Eh baka naman hinahabol na eh. O, hinahabol. Tumatakbo yung offended party. Alam niyang inatake na siya. Alam niya and so on. No? Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na wala kang opportunity to defend yourself. You just chose to run. But you had an opportunity to defend yourself. Kaya kahit na attack sa likod, hindi always treachery. Okay? It must appear that such mode of attack was consciously adopted and the question of risk to defender must be taken into account. Anyways, ang gusto ko ilagay dito, pwede ba rin sabihin may opportunity kasi to defend yourself? Diba? You just have to check one thing, that is whether the victim had an opportunity to defend himself. Nakailang ulit na ako. Surprise na attack. Ayan, magkakatalo tayo dyan. Okay? Next, no? The means of execution was deliberately and consciously adopted by the offender. What does this mean? In treachery, there must be without the slightest provocation on the part of the victim. Why? If there was, there is no deliberate or conscious adaptation of the crime. Ulitin natin, inuman. Minura nung kainuman niya yung offender. Minura nung kainuman yung offender. Siyempre, offender na offend. Hala, nagka-offend. Yung offender na insulto, sinaksak niya ngayon yung kainuman niya, minura siya. Can we say that there was treachery kahit nabiglaan yung pananaksak na yun? Hindi. Kasi nga, kaya niya sinaksak yung tao, siyempre, nag-init ang ulo niya dahil minura siya. So we cannot say that the attack was consciously and deliberately adopted by this offender. In the heat of the moment siya eh. So titingnan nyo lang po lagi no, sa mga first year din. Karamihan po ng mga magiging sagot nyo, especially sa criminal law, bumabalik lang po lagi sa elements. Huwag kayong masyadong na-overload o masyadong nag-iisip kayo na, nako, baka nasa kaso na to. Nako, baka doon sa isang dialogue o isang doctrine na sinabi doon sa kaso na yun. Huwag. Lahat po ng sagot nyo, bumabalik lang lagi doon sa requisite. Mga 80 to 90% ng mga sagot nyo sa exam. Generality principle, babalik lang ulit kayo dun sa article under the Civil Code. Territoriality article 2 of the Revised Penal Code. Bumabalik lang lagi. Andun lagi yung sagot, guys. At karamihan po ng mga case sa criminal law, binawaword lang ng iba, yun nung gumagawa ng doctrine, binawaword ng iba, pero hango lang din po lahat yun doon sa article. Hango lang talaga lagi. So always remember that, no? Especially sa criminal law. Sa political law, okay, constitution, sige, medyo case heavy talaga. Pero sa crime, nako, mahalin niyo yung revised penal code. Andyan yan. Okay? Further, unexpectedness of the attack does not always equate to treachery. Why? Kasi nga, itong deliberate and conscious adoption. Unexpected na sinaksak nga nung kainuman, yung kainuman niya. Minura do. Binasagan ng bote sa ulo, namatay. Minura mo eh. Di ba? So, okay. Get na natin, no? There's no treachery when the killing was preceded by a heated altercation. People versus Alegre. Okay? Lack of opportunity of the accused to deliberately employ a treacherous mode of attack. In other words, deliberate and conscious adoption. Wala. Okay? Ito pala, napaka-important nito, no? There is treachery in the killing of a child. Tandaan nyo, pag po bata ang pinatay, hindi na kailangan patunayan pa kung paano pinatay. Ay, hindi kailangan patunayan pala, hindi pala, sorry. Hindi pala kailangan patunayan if the offended party had an opportunity or no opportunity to defend himself or herself. Hindi na po kailangan. Presume na po yan that a child has no opportunity to defend himself or herself. So, ang kailangan nyo lang patunayan for the purposes of treachery, yung second element na lang. Pinatay ng offender yung bata. Patunayan nyo na lang, deliberate and consciously adopted by the means of the attack. Pag napatunayan nyo yun, automatic treachery na yan. Okay? The weakness of the victim due to his tender age results in the absence of any danger to the accused. So, no opportunity, yung sa no opportunity to defend himself nga, goods na tayo doon. Agad, no? Okay. Ato, interplay, just read this one, no? Interplay na lang po ito ng Article 4, homicide at saka ng treachery under Article 14. So, hindi pala homicide, murder. Interplay ng Article 4, Paragraph 1, murder at saka treachery under Article 14, no? Na nandun din sa Revised Penal Code Book 2, no? Sa murder, qualifying aggravating circumstance, no? Just read this one na lang. Okay. Same thing to, no? It makes no difference whether or not the victim was the same person whom the accused intended to kill as long as the two requisites of treachery are present. Okay. Etong mas treachery be present at the beginning of the assault, medyo ano to, no? Nilagay ko lang dito kasi maganda ang topic. Pero pag kasi inisip mo sa exams, mahirap di siya masyadong gagawa ng, alam na, ng facts. Kasi nga masyado pang mahaba yung magiging facts, no? Hindi siya madaling gawa ng question. So kung gagawa kayo ng question sa exam nyo, malamang ang magiging question lang dyan, it would just revolve around yung dalawang elements nga. Ito mga beginning of the assault or not continuous or continuous, nilagay ko lang dito kasi magandang ang topic. Pero hindi ito masyadong, so just read this through, no? Read this through. Kung ano, no? Pero hindi siya ganun ka-important compared dun sa mga natakil natin previously. Like yung mga crimes against persons lang to, and so on. Okay? When there is conspiracy, ito important to, no? Treachery is considered against all persons, even though they did not plan to commit the crime with treachery. Ang plano lang nila, patayin si B. Oh. Pero yung trigger man o yung nanaksak, ginulat si B, nung pinatay, sinaksak sa likod, sabihin natin. Patay si B, no? Direct hit sa kidney, direct hit sa liver, and so on. Patay, no? Maraming stab wounds, no? Tinira sa likod, no? People versus Peralta po, no? Once an express or implied conspiracy is proved, no, all of the conspirators are liable as co-principals, regardless of the extent and character of the respective active participation in the commission of the crime, in furtherance of the conspiracy. Ito po tatandaan nyo, lalo na sa mga first year. Pag nakita nyo yung conspiracy niyan at natanong kayo ang konteksto niyan, liable ba yung ibang mga co-conspirators? Ito lagi ang magic word, magic phrase na dyan. The act of one is the act of all. Tandaan nyo yun na may ibang, baka iba sa inyo nalilito pa na, naku, baka kasi walang knowledge yung iba as to how the crime was committed or how the crime was executed by the killer, no? Tandaan niyo po, wala na tayong, wag niyo nang pahirapan yung sarili niyo sa mga knowledge. Sinabi na po ito, recent case lang tong Peralta na to. Act of one is the act of all, regardless of the extent and character of their respective active participation. Although it is axiomatic that no one is liable for acts other than his own, when two or more persons agree or conspire to commit a crime, each is responsible for all the acts of the others, no, done in furtherance of the agreement or conspiracy. By the way, no, tangent lang tayo ng konti. Sabihin nga natin, no, sa isang conspiracy, ang plano lang nila magnakaw sa bahay. O isa nilang ka-conspirator na ni-rape yung kasambahay, sabihin natin, sa loob ng bahay. Meron bang robbery with rape kahit na yung ibang mga co-conspirator, di naman nila alam na ng rape yung kasama nila? Yes po, lahat yun robbery with rape. Ano ulit ang basis nyo? Huwag nyo nang pahirapan. Act of one is the act of all. Yan na ang, kung magtatanungin kayo, ganyan na pinakasimple. At meron namang mga legal basis for this. May mga nababasa kayong legal basis na sinasabi knowledge. Ako, mga recent na nababasa ko, act of one is the act of all. Ako sa inyo dito na lang kayo, mas madaling gawa ng sagot, malinis, diretso. Di ba? Hindi na kailangan ng mahabang explanation pa. Yan ang suggestion ko sa inyo. Pag natanong kayo na anything about conspiracy, ano yung crime ng mga hindi naman talaga ng rape, hindi naman talaga sila pumatay, and so on. Act of one is the act of all. applicable siya sa treachery. No? So kung murder yung isa, murder yung lahat. Kahit na yun lang isa na yan ang pumatay. Hindi pwedeng murder yung isa, homicide yung iba. No? Okay. Ayan, no? Treachery, abuse of superior strength, and means employed to weaken the defense. No? Treachery, it makes it impossible to put up a defense. Abuse of the superior strength, he only takes advantage of his superior strength. But the offended party could have put up a defense. Okay. Means employed to weaken the defense. He only materially weakens the defensive power or the resisting power of the offended party. But the offended party had an opportunity again to defend himself. Kapag aid of armed men naman, di ko na sinulat dito. Anyway, huwag na natin palang pag-ulayan kasi aid of armed men, ang kukonek lang niya talaga, abuse of superior strength lang. Hindi dapat siya kinokonek sa treachery. You get the point naman ako ng pagkakaiba ng superior strength at saka ng aid of armed men, no? Okay, so balik tayo sa evident premeditation, no? Nabanggit na rin kasi evident premeditation kanina dito sa treachery discussion ko. Okay. Ayan. Sa evident premeditation po, may tatlong requisites. Tandaan nyo, tatlo ang requisites ito o tatlo elements. Dito lang po lagi iikot ang tanong. Dito lang lagi. No? At ito po, no, kalimitan yan sa mga kaso ng Supreme Court, hindi po usually na appreciate ang aggravating circumstance kasi napakahirap pong patunayan yan. Isa-isahin natin. So, short muna tayo na para matandaan nyo. Time. Act manifestly. Time, clang, lapse of time. So, dalawang time, isang clang. Time, clang, lapse of time. Okay? So, time, when the offender determined to commit the crime. An act manifestly indicating that he clung to his determination. Sufficient lapse of time between the determination, yung time, basically. Sufficient lapse of time between the time and the execution of the crime to allow him to reflect upon the consequences of his act and to allow his conscience to overcome the resolution of his will. Okay. Saan po usually nagkakaroon ng mintis dito? Sa number 1 at saka sa number 2. Kaya po hindi ito na-appreciate. Kasi alam mo, kung experience na lang, di ba? Kung gagawa ng crime ang isang tao, ba't naman niya sasabihin sa iba? Normally. So kung di niya sabihin sa iba, nasa isip lang niya yung time kung kailan niya i-commit yung crime, how can you prove the first one? Di ba? You cannot prove the time when the offender determined to commit the crime if this offender never told that he will commit a crime to anyone. Nasa thoughts lang niya. O sabihin natin, sinabi niya sa inuman niya, o, pare, papatayin ko si ganun next week. O ito naman kumpare na to, nagsalita sa court. O pasok tayo sa first element. Next, an act manifestly indicating that the culprit has clung to his determination. Another na naman po itong witness na naman. Kailangan nakita, bumibili ng baril, ganyan, bumibili ng bala, mga ganun yung mga act manifestly indicating. O kung magsusunog ng bahay, nakita, bumibili ng gasolina, yung gasolina ng gano'n na hindi gasolina sa kotse. Paano naman yung pag nilagay mo sa kotse, di ba kahirap naman gamitin yan sa o bumili ng gas, bumili ng langis, ganyan, no? Mga ganun, di ba? Paano pag yung time lang napatunayan sa facts? O napatunayan, pare, papatayin ko si gano'n next week. Pinatay niya next week. Sa first lang po, saka sa third element, papasok. Kasi may time at saka may sufficient lapse of time, 1 week. Pero sa act manifestly indicating wala kasi walang bridge showing that he clung to his determination. 'Di ba? Ganun ang nangyayari po sa evident premeditation kaya hindi siya madalas na-appreciate, no? Anyway, sige, tingnan natin yung mga examples na ginawa ko. Medyo mahaba din medyo mahaba-haba din yung discussion ko dito. Okay? For the first requisite, the date and time is essential. No? Facts regarding and when the time, how and when the plan to kill was hatched are indispensable. No? So, basically, yun nga, no? Sinabi sa kanya, sinabi niya sa kainuman niya, papatay niya next week. O how? When. Sabi yung how, papatayin niya next week. Yung when, o next week. O, di ba? Na-comply yung first element on time. Next. Ilagay ko na kayo dito. This is the hardest part to prove. Kasi nga utak lang yan. Nasa utak lang, di ba? Ba't mo naman sasabihin? Diba? Okay. For the second requisite, the premeditation must be based on external acts and not presumed merely from lapse of time. So sabi ko nga, bumili ng baril, bumili ng bala, bumili ng, ano ba? Hindi, pag sinabi mong bumili ng kutsilyo, parang hindi naman siguro eh. Kasi kutsilyo, pwede mo naman gamitin sa kitchen, di ba? Siguro yung mga kutsilyo na ano, yung dagger, yung pang militar talaga, military grade na mga panaksak, okay, pwede nating sabihin. Pero yung kitchen knife, di ba, hindi naman siya pwedeng sabihing act manifestly indicating that hick lang eh. No? For the third requisite, what is sufficient lapse of time? No? It differs from case to case. However, the court ruled that 3 hours shall be considered sufficient lapse of time. 3 oras lang. I forgot the name of the case, pero sa kaso na yun, 3 oras lang, sufficient lapse of time na daw yun. May time ngayon, na-determine yung crime, nakita, bumili ng kutsilyo, pinatay after 3 hours. May evident premeditation na daw. Pero case to case basis pa din yan. No? Okay, so okay na to the rest, no? When the offender, ito yung gusto kong itakil, no? People versus Ordina. When the offender decided to kill a particular person and premeditated on the killing of this person, yung particular person, but when he carried out his plan, he actually killed another person, it cannot properly be said that he premeditated on the killing of the victim. So Article 4, Paragraph 1 is opposite from evident premeditation. So gawa natin ng ano ba yung saan papasok to? Sa mistake in the identity, saka mistake in the blow. O sa mistake in the identity, gusto niyang patayin yung kapitbahay niya, ang napatay niya, kapatid niya. Napatunayan na may evident premeditation na with respect to sa kapitbahay. Pero napatay yung kapatid eh. With respect to the kapatid, wala siyang premeditation to kill the kapatid. So wala pong evident premeditation. Pag mistake in the blow naman, o talagang binaril niya si A, binaril niya talaga si B, pero yung bala tumama kay C. Yung attempt ni A kay B, o may evident premeditation. Napatunayan. Pero yung with respect to C, wala. Anyways, pasada na natin. Anyways, complex crime naman yun eh. Complex crime of homicide and attempted homicide. Ay, homicide and attempted murder. Wag na nating ano, murder pala kasi may, kung mapatunayan yung evident premeditation. So, complex crime of homicide and attempted murder. Iba rin naman na magiging penalty dyan. No? Wala na rin masyadong bearing yung ano, mga ordinary aggravating circumstances under Article 48. Pero later on na lang natin itatakil yan. No? Magandang topic ulit yan. Anyways, no? So, kung madali na lang tayo dito sa mistake in the identity na lang para di na mahirap, no? Papatay niya dapat kapitbahay niya, napatay niya yung kapatid. With respect to the kapitbahay, may evident premeditation talaga. Pero with respect to the kapatid, wala. So, walang evident premeditation. Okay? But if the offender premeditated on the killing of any person, so that means medyo terorista. Hindi, wag walang terorista kasi special law yun. Careful tayo sa facts, no? Pag terorista pumatay, hindi na po applicable tong ano, pwede na hindi applicable tong revised penal code sa anti-terror law na tayo, yung sa bagong law, Anti-Terrorism Act, no? Sa ATA. So, wag pala. Sabihin natin, gusto lang niyang patayin, galit lang sa doon sa buong lugar na yun. Lahat ng tao na papatayin niya. Pwede mong sabihin evident premeditation, no? Any person, hindi particular person, no? But if the offender premeditated on the killing of any person, it is proper to consider the aggravating circumstance of premeditation because whoever is killed by him is contemplated in his premeditation. Okay? Evident premeditation, no, while inherent in robbery, may be aggravating in robbery with homicide. Why? Kasi killing is not always premeditated. Okay. Move tayo to the next one that I'd like to discuss, no. So, akit muna tayo ulit sa dito sa to. On occasion of conflagration, shipwreck, earthquake, epidemic, other calamity, or misfortune. Okay. So, yun po, doon muna tayo sa epidemic, no? Does this include, sabihin natin, no, nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, di ba? Nag-lockdown. Nung nag-lockdown, yung ibang mga tao, niloot yung retail store. O, ayan. Niloot nila yung retail store, sinira nila yung pintuan, kinuha na nila ng grocery items, yung retail store, inubos, nilimas nila. Can we say that there's an aggravating circumstance under this item? Yes, no? Because the robbery was committed on occasion of an epidemic. Pandemic nga eh. Epidemic means one locality lang po yung sakit. When you say pandemic, cross-border na siya. So, mas matindi po ang pandemic sa epidemic. So, ang COVID-19 pandemic, pasok dito sa epidemic. Kasi it's even worse. Okay? So, yun, no? Yung mga looters na ganyan, no? By the way, ang classic, ito po, real example, no? Nung ano, ay nakapanood ako ng balita dati, nung nagkaroon ng Yolanda sa Leyte, ano yun? Destructive typhoon, di ba? So, pasok siya sa other calamity or misfortune. Yung iba daw ng mga tao, yung mall, niloot nila. So, nawala yung mga, ano, no, mga binebenta sa mall. Pwede po pumasok dito yan. Kasi on occasion of a calamity, nag-loot. O, di ba? Okay. Tandaan po natin yun, no? So, on occasion, it means the offender must take advantage of the calamity or misfortune. If the accused was provoked by the offended party to commit a crime during a calamity or misfortune, this aggravating circumstance may not be taken into consideration. So, on occasion kasi. What does this mean? O sabihin natin, umuulan, minura ni A si B, o di si B, pinatay si A. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na may aggravating circumstance. Sa na destructive typhoon, sabihin natin sobrang lakas ng ulan, no? Signal number 4. You cannot say that there was aggravating circumstance under this paragraph. Kasi nga, hindi naman tinake advantage nung offender yung ano eh, calamity kasi minura siya kaya niya pinatay. Okay? However, the calamity does not have to be the means or the method how the crime was committed. By means of is not the same dapat. Not the same as on occasion of. So, I need to correct this one. No? So, iayos natin yung ano, typo. No? Okay. Chaotic condition and engine trouble are not covered by the word misfortune because of the Latin term ejus dem generis. No? So, sinabi mong ejus dem generis, no? When a generic phrase, no? Ito yan, is preceded by particular phrases, di ba? The generic phrase shall be similar, di ba? Or must belong to the same class as those that preceded it. So, di ba pwedeng ilagay yung chaotic condition and engine trouble dito kasi hindi naman siya pareho. Di ba? Conflagration pala is fire which destroys a great deal of land. So, wildfire yan. So, mga ganyan ang nangyayari sa United States, no? Okay. I need to correct this one. So, send ko na lang yung ano po, no? Yung corrected na version ng reviewer. Okay. By means of inundation, fire, poison, explosion, stranding of a vessel, and so on, no? By means of, yan po pagkakaiba. Yung sa conflagration, on occasion lang. Pag sinabi mong by means of, yun ang naging paraan upang makomit mo ang crime. Okay? What is inundation? Tubig yan, no? Nilunod. Fire, understood. Poison, understood. Explosion yan, mga granada. Sorry. Medyo terap na. Granada, no? Mga granada, C4, grenade, C4 bomb, mga ganyan, no? And so on, no? Dito lang po sa apat na to kaako ng ano, no? Ang tanong normally, no? Sige. Let's move to the discussion nito, no? Kasi important topic to. Okay, so sa fire tayo, no? Ay, wait lang. Ito muna tayo sa by means of, no? Mr. A threw a grenade in a public place in order to escape the bank that he robbed. Later, he was charged with the crime of robbery with violence against or intimidation of persons. Is the aggravating circumstance of explosion present? No, because explosion was not used as a means to commit the crime. It was used to escape from the crime scene. Diba? Ganun lang kasimple, by means of nagkaroon na ng question sa inyo. Diba? So, wala pong aggravating circumstance under this paragraph. Next tayo sa fire, no? This is inherent in the crime of arson, no? Whether destructive or plain. Hence, it does not aggravate the crime. So, ibig sabihin, pag sinunog ang bahay, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na may aggravating circumstance of fire. Kasi integral element po yung fire sa arson, no? O burning, no? Okay, so the following are instances involving fire, no? If the offender had no intent to kill, but somebody dies as a result of the fire that he started, no? The crime is arson with homicide, no? People versus Soria at saka People versus Alsad, no? Yung mga iba nating notes, no? Pagkakaalam ko din before. Pagkakaalam ko din before, ang crime dapat dyan, plain arson lang. But the penalty under the law shall be death. Pero dahil sinuspend na nga po ang death, reclusion perpetua. Yun ang pagkakaalam ko. Pero ito pong recent case na to, itong Soria at saka yung Alsad, isa pa nga dyan. Well, 2021 case nga, no? Ang una ko pong nabasa dito yung Alsad na case. Duda ako. Sabi ko, ba't ka ako ganun? Arson with homicide, di kaya ako ano? Minsan lang na ganun o baka nung instance lang na yun saka naging ganun. Yun yung nasa isip ko kasi ang pagkakaalam ko talaga at mga nabasa ko din before nung law student ako, arson lang talaga yung crime. Nag-check pa ako ng another case bago, People versus Soria. Arson with homicide din yung crime. Ang nangyari po sa Alsad, nanunog lang din ang bahay pero meron pala mga bata sa loob. Dalawa na patay. Yan ang sinabing crime, no? Doon sa value, doon sa dispositive portion ng decision. Arson with homicide po. So ako, I abide by this na kasi bagong ano yun eh, bagong mga cases to, oh. 'Di ba? Tandaan niyo yan ah. If the intent was only to burn the house, no intent to kill, but someone was killed during the incident, no, during the fire. Arson with homicide in the case of Alsad at saka Soria. If the offender killed a person and to escape from criminal liability, he burned down the house where the killing took place, two crimes were committed, homicide or murder, hindi pwede commit treachery and so on, and arson. C. If the accused had intent to kill and he killed the victim by means of fire, it will qualify the crime to murder as provided under Article 248 of the Revised Penal Code. Okay, so ito pong poison, no, inherent also sa in the crime of murder. Mr. A was killed by poisoning his water, no, o poisoning his drink. No, nilagyan ng rat killer o whatever na poison man, kung ano man yan. No? Murder siya, hindi siya homicide. Tapos ordinary aggravating, hindi po yun. Murder siya, qualified by poison. Explosion po, no? Hand grenade where a family of 7 persons lives, no, mga ganyan. Okay na yan, no? You get the point, no? By the way, ang natatanong dito yung ano, yung kaso nung kay President Rojas, if I remember correctly. President Rojas. Yan pong kaso 1950 case, no, si People versus Gillian, no? Ang totoo pong nangyari dyan, ibinato talaga yung granada sa stage kung saan nagtatalumpati si President, no? Kaya lang, parang yung general ata, no, yung general na nakasama ni President, nasipa yung granada last minute. So ngayon, yung granada, instead na sumabog sa stage, sumabog sa audience. Yan ang nangyari, no? Maraming namatay because of that, no? Okay, so People versus Gilead, di ko na sinama dito. Pero yan yun, no? Pag sa explosion. O pag ganyan, no? Namatay yung tao sa Granada, murder qualified by explosion. Hindi po siya ordinary aggravating circumstance. Qualified siya. Same thing sa poison at saka sa fire at saka sa inundation. Okay? Next tayo, no? With the aid of persons under 15 or by means of motor vehicles, watercrafts, airships, other similar means, no? With the aid, it means the offender availed of the help of a person under 15 years of age to commit the crime. Okay, so dito tayo sa by means of, no? What does motor vehicle mean? Tandaan nyo, hindi po kasali ang bike dyan. Kasi motor vehicle nga, no? How about e-scooter? E-scooter, e-bike, pwede pong kasali kasi motor vehicle yun, no? So what is motor vehicle, no? Dinefine po yan sa anti-carnapping law. Hindi ko na ata na ilagay dito sa reviewer natin. Anyway, for crime 2 kasi yan, no? Pero babanggitin ko na din, no? Motor vehicle means any vehicle, pakitandaan na lang to, no? Idagdag nyo na lang sa notes nyo. Motor vehicle is any vehicle propelled by any power other than muscular power using the public highways and so on. No? So, doon muna tayo sa basic. Huwag na tayo sa mga exceptions ng mga trolley cars, sprinklers, lawnmowers. Huwag na tayo doon. Doon muna tayo sa basic ng motor vehicle. Any vehicle propelled by any power other than muscular power. So, ang bisikleta, hindi. Pedicab, hindi. Tricycle, oo. Single na motor, oo. E-scooter, oo. Pwede yan, no? Okay. Sabi dito using the public highways kasi ang dapat po talagang gamit ng e-scooter hindi siya pina-public highway. Pero na public highway naman talaga e-scooter, di ba? Sa LTFRB kasi na o LTO na IRR, sabi dapat yung mga e-scooter wag siyang gamitin. Hindi kailangan ng lisensya. Basta mong gagamitin yung e-scooter sa highway. Pero not, di ba? Ginagamit naman talaga yan, no? Anyways, for me, motor vehicle yan. Okay? So, talakayan natin to, no? If the motor vehicle was used only in facilitating the escape, it should not be an aggravating circumstance. They must be used as a means to commit the crime and not as a means to escape. Sabihin natin, yung magnanakaw sa bangko, bank robbery, no? Papasok ng bank, ginamit nila yung kotse. Palabas ng bank, ginamit nila yung kotse din. Okay yun. Pasok siya sa by means of motor vehicle, aggravating circumstance. Pero kung hindi naman sila nagkotse nung papunta, nung pauwi lang sila nagkotse, hindi po aggravating circumstance yun under this paragraph. Okay, so same thing po for watercraft. So, bangka, basically, airships. Okay, hindi na kailangan pang i-discuss yun. Okay, a group of riding in tandem robbers is a good example of paragraph 20. The motor vehicle was used as a means to commit the crime and incidentally to escape. Kasi pag riding in tandem, mabilis yan. Tapos dadakmain yung cellphone, no? Dadakmain yung cellphone ng mga tumatawid sa kalsada kasi hindi na mapagmatsyag, tatakas din. Di ba? Aggravating circumstance yan. Okay. And so on, pakibasa na lang po, no? Nailagay ko na rin pala dito, no? Bicycle is not covered by paragraph 20 because it is not similar to a motorized vehicle. E-bikes, e-scooters, yan nilagay ko. Okay, evident premeditation, tapos na tayo dito. Okay, so next tayo sa ignominy na. No? Okay na itong craft, fraud, and disguise. Just read this through, no? Tapusin natin yung treachery for this video. Ay, tapusin natin treachery. Tapusin natin yung article 14 for this video, no? Okay. Here we go, no? How do we differentiate ignominy at saka cruelty? Tandaan nyo, pag ignominy, emotional, mental. Okay? Kapag itong cruelty, physical yan. Physical torture, ito pong ignominy, mental torture. Ganun kasimple pag pinag-differentiate sa inyo, no? Ignominy, the means employed or the circumstances brought about must tend to make the effects of the crime more humiliating. Doon lang tayo. The crime was more humiliating for the offended party, I'm sorry. The effects of the crime were more humiliating for the offended party. Example nga yan, where one rapes a married woman in the presence of her husband, there is ignominy. Okay? Pag naman cruelty, no? Physical pain. There is cruelty when the culprit enjoys and delights in making his victim suffer. causing him unnecessary physical pain in the commission of the criminal act. So, unnecessary physical pain. Dapat pala yung unnecessary kinapitalize ko din kasi magandang adjective yan. What are the requisites for cruelty? No? The injury cause must be deliberately augmented and it's not necessary for its commission. Sabihin natin, 20 stab wounds. Yung offended party, patay. Pwede ba bang sabihin cruelty na? Hindi. You cannot say that agad-agad. Why? Kasi hindi mo naman napatunayan that these 20 stab wounds were not necessary for its commission. That it was just deliberately augmented. You cannot say that agad-agad. Di ba? Okay, so tingnan natin yung mga instances of cruelty, no? When the mouth of the child was burned before he was killed. When the victim's eye was extracted and stuffing his mouth with mud before he was killed. So alam niya na yan, no? Tinanggal mo ni kuko, tinanggal mo ni dila, mga ganyan, no? Tinanggal mo ni reproductive organ bago pinatay and so on. Okay? Plurality of wounds does not show cruelty. Tandaan nyo, dapat merong deliberate augmentation. Dapat may kinumit a crime not necessary for its commission. Eh baka kailangan talaga ng 20 stab wounds, di ba? Para sigurista yung offender, no? Hindi siya hindi crime siya, 'di ba? Makukulong, no? Pero hindi siya cruelty. Also pala, no, sabihin natin ganito nangyari. Pinatay yung biktima, tapos chinap-chop yung katawan. Tinapon sa kung saan-saan yung katawan, pinaghiwa-hiwalay. Cruelty ba 'yon? No. Kasi wala nang pain. Wala nang mental torture, wala nang physical torture, wala nang mental torture kasi patay ni. So walang ignominy, wala ding cruelty. Pag pinagcha-chop-chop yung katawan bago mamatay. Ay, bago mamatay. After mamatay. Pero paano pag chinap muna yung paa? Bago mamatay, chinap muna yung kamay. And so on. At saka pinatay. Ayun, pwede nating sabihin na cruelty yan. But yung pag-chop, it happened after the death. Wala pong cruelty, wala pong ignominy. Okay? Okay, no cruelty was there's no cruelty when other wrong was done after the victim was dead. Okay, so last ano tayo, no? I think last 2 na ba to? Last 2, no? Itong unlawful entry at saka yung window, floor, door be broken, etc. No? Unlawful entry, tandaan natin, there is an unlawful entry when an entrance is effected in a way not intended for that purpose. So, ibig po sabihin nito, walang sinirang gamit, pero pumasok yung offender sa isang opening na hindi naman dapat pinapasukan ng tao. Tandaan natin na unlawful entry pala, it means entry. Hindi sinabing unlawful escape. Okay? Unlawful, so ibig sabihin nito, ang visual example nito, pumasok sa bintana, no? Napakahirap naman kung papasok ka sa kisame, so baka hindi naman yun itatanong sa inyo. Pumasok sa bintana. Okay? Pumasok sa bintana, lumabas sa pinto, may unlawful entry ba? Yes. Because the entry into the house was effected in a window, and a window is not intended for entrance. Oh. Eh what if the entrance was effected through the door, but the escape was effected through the window? Wala pong unlawful entry. Okay? If escape was effected through the window, not aggravating. Okay? So you get the point, no? Just read this through na lang kasi crime to na to, yung robbery and theft, no? Pinag-correlate ko na lang siya. Gusto ko i-correlate to sa ano, no, sa wall, floor, door, roof, window be broken. Sa wall, floor, door, roof, window be broken, ang tawag po dyan, forcible entry. No? Forcible entry kasi nanira. So, kung sa unlawful entry, pumasok lang sa bintana, sa forcible entry, binasag yung bintana. Okay? At ito po palang ano, no, forcible entry, this means outside door, outside wall, no? Outside window. Hindi po yan yung door sa kwarto. Yung door po yan yung entrance ng bahay. Okay? Same thing din po yung ano, window, no? Anyway, magkakaroon ng window sa loob ng bahay? Sa pinakaloob ng mga kwarto, no? Basta yung ano, sa facade ng bahay basically. Pati yung wall, hindi po siya inside walls, no? Outside walls talaga siya ng structure ng bahay. Yun ang sinira. Okay, so kung tatanungin kayo dito, saan to usually lalabas? Sa outside door at saka sa outside window. Ang hirap naman ng outside ng floor eh. At saka wall, ang hirap naman yan. Madedetect agad yan kasi mamasuhin mo yan eh. Roof din, masyado namang mahirap kung padaan pa sa roof, pababa. So, ang tatanay kayo dyan, probably, no? Kung magkakaroon man ng correlation sa unlawful entry, sa forcible entry, outside door at saka outside window. Pag sinira, forcible entry, kapag pinto, tingnan nyo kung sinira. Kung hindi sinira, ay walang aggravating. Kasi hindi siya unlawful entry, hindi siya forcible entry. Pag sinira yung pinto, forcible entry. Okay pala, no? Ito palang wall, floor, door, roof, window be broken. Ang sabi po sa provision, dapat itong pagbe-break dito sa mga structures na to, no? Sa mga structures, sa mga part ng bahay na to, as a means to commit the crime dapat. These these things must be broken as a means to commit the crime. So, pag mo sinabing as a means, papasok ulit. So that means po, kapag unlawful entry, papasok din. Pag forcible entry, papasok din. Wala tayong pakialam paanong lumabas. Okay? So hence, it is only aggravating when the offender broke something to commit the crime, not to escape from the place. Okay? Note, for both unlawful entry and forcible entry, to commit, to enter, not to escape. Okay? So read na lang yung examples, no? Basic na lang yan, no? It is also not aggravating if the wall, floor, door, roof, or window was broken to ensure the commission of the crime. Example is breaking the doorknob so the offended party cannot escape from the offender. Hindi, kasi nakapasok na. Di ba? It is also not aggravating if these were broken, no, to conceal the commission of the crime. Again, breaking the doorknob so third persons cannot access the place where the offended party is currently located. Same thing. Kasi nakapasok na ulit. Hindi siya as a means to commit the crime. Okay? By the way, ito rin pala, no? Anyway, the provision does not require. Anyway, forcible entry naman talaga yung pangalan, no? So, ang normal talagang instance dito, entry. Pero paano pag, halimbawa, hindi naman pinasok yung buong katawan ng offender, binasag yung salamin para ma-reach yung cellphone dun sa lamesa. Naabot, kinuha yung cellphone, itinakbo. Can we say that there was forcible entry? Yes na. No? The provision does not, di pala does not require, does not always require, no, an entry by the offender. Okay, so pero normally, entry talaga yung magiging tanong sa inyo. Forcible entry nga ang pangalan ng ano eh, paragraph, di ba? Pero hindi kailangan palagi. Example, when the window is broken so the thief can reach the wallet of the offended party, the crime of theft is aggravated by paragraph 19, no? Or wag walang ganyan. The crime, there is forcible entry na lang. Okay, yan na. Inside doors, outside doors, okay na yan, no? Sige. I think we're done na, no? Alternative circumstances na tayo. Circumstances. Itong organized at saka syndicated crime group, I suggest just read this through pero hindi naman to tinatanong normally, no? Just read na lang sa reviewer natin. Move na tayo to alternative circumstances next video. Okay, salamat, no? See you next video.